So usually when we talk about getting some kind of medical diagnosis, there's this really heavy expectation of absolute precision, right?
Oh, totally. It's treated almost like, I don't know, mechanical engineering or something.
Exactly. You fall off a ladder, you break your arm, they print out the x-ray, and boom, it shows that jagged, undeniable white line.
Right, and the doctor just points to the film and is like, well, there it is. That's the problem.
Yeah, it's completely binary. Broken or not broken.
It's clear cut. It's quantifiable. Visually objective.
And, I mean, there's a real comfort in that for us. We like things to be visible. We want our reality to be neatly categorized, you know?
Of course we do. It makes the world feel safe and manageable.
But then, and this is where today's journey gets wild,
Yeah.
you step into the world of esoteric meditation or ancient energy systems.
Oh, boy. Yeah. The comforting X-ray machine is utterly useless there.
It really is. You're suddenly looking at a diagnostic landscape that is, honestly, incredibly murky.
It is the absolute definition of diagnostic muddy waters. And that ambiguity, that lack of a clear, printable X-ray is terrifying for a lot of people.
Right, because it demands a level of trust.
Exactly. A trust in subjective experience that, well, modern society is deeply uncomfortable with.
And that discomfort is exactly where we are going today. So welcome to the deep dive. Our mission for this one, for you listening right now, is to explore a really massive, profound clash.
It's a huge collision, really.
It is. We are looking at a head-on collision between ancient, widely accepted texts like the kind of texts that millions of people base their daily spiritual practices on, and direct, undeniable personal experience.
Which is a very dangerous intersection.
Oh, absolutely. We're going to be asking a really uncomfortable question on your behalf today.
Yeah.
What happens when the foundational textbooks of a spiritual science textbooks that have been revered for centuries might actually be completely wrong?
Wow. Yeah, it's a question that threatens to pull the rug out from under entire institutions.
It really does.
Because when you question the foundation, you inherently question the authority of everyone standing on it.
You do. You have to. And the source for today's journey is singular and honestly just fascinating. We are unpacking one incredibly dense piece of source material today.
And it comes from YouTube, right?
It does. It's a transcript from a YouTube video titled Important Considerations Regarding the Discrepancy on Color of Root Chakra.
Which sounds very academic, but it's not.
Not at all. The creator of this video and our sole guide for today is a highly unique figure. His name is Osman, and he is widely known as the blind Muslim yogi.
And while that title regarding the color of a chakra might seem incredibly niche to an outsider, it actually opens up this massive Pandora's box.
Oh, huge.
It has practical, philosophical, and physiological implications that go way beyond just a color.
So I want to give you, the listener, the core hook right out of the gate here. Imagine you have been studying a subject, literally dedicating your life to it for decades.
Right, putting in the hours.
You read all the manuals, you follow the respected gurus, you study the ancient diagrams, and every single textbook says, undeniably, the sky is red.
Red, got it.
And everyone around you, your teachers, your peers, they all nod and say, yes, the sky is red. But then, through decades of grueling, isolated practice, you finally develop the ability to look up and actually see the sky for yourself.
Okay.
And you realize, with absolute certainty, it's yellow.
Oh, wow. And not just yellow in some subtle metaphorical sense either.
Nope. Yellow in a literal, blinding, undeniable physical sense.
That is the exact dilemma Osman faced.
Exactly. So we are going to be diving into some truly mind-bending concepts today based on his life's work. We'll be talking about the mechanics of open-eye meditation.
Which is fascinating on its own.
The concept of telepathic healing, a famous podcast moment involving a physically materialized bead, and, well, at the center of it all, this intense debate over the true color of the human body's first energy center.
And, you know, just to set the tone right at the outset, it's important to state our analytical framework here.
Yeah, that's crucial.
We are dealing with esoteric and spiritual concepts today. Claims of miraculous healing, bioenergy, deep metaphysical phenomena. But our goal is to examine Osman's claims impartially.
Right. We aren't here to judge.
Exactly. We're going to analyze his specific methodology, his incredibly detailed data points, and the broader implications of questioning established authority.
We aren't here to, prove or disprove the existence of chakras in a laboratory.
No, we are here to explore the fascinating intersection of direct human experience and inherited dogma, and just try to understand the logic behind Osman's remarkable claims.
Perfect. So before we can even begin to understand this massive controversy over whether a foundational chakra is red or yellow, We first need to understand the unique lens through which this information is being presented.
Who is the person telling us this?
Right. If someone's going to tell you the textbooks are wrong, you need to know their credentials. So who exactly is Osman, the blind Muslim yogi?
His background is arguably unparalleled in the modern holistic and spiritual space.
It really is. It requires us to completely reframe our understanding of what a yoga teacher actually is.
Because he's not just someone who took a weekend certification course.
Let me lay out the core facts from the source material because they are just staggering. Osman is an advanced level yoga and meditation teacher, but he has been practicing this art form for 50 years.
50 years, half a century.
5 decades of continuous, intensive practice. And he has been teaching it for 46 years.
Wow.
But here is the detail that forces you to really stop and pay attention. He has been teaching this entirely for free for all 46 of those years.
Which immediately sets him apart from the vast majority of the modern wellness industry.
Oh, totally. It's so monetized now.
Right, it's highly monetized at the ground level. So when someone offers half a century of expertise without a price tag on the foundational knowledge, it speaks to a motivation that is purely transmission-based, not profit-based.
But his practice goes so much deeper than just, asanas or stretching or breath work in a studio with some nice music playing.
Far beyond that.
The source outlines that he describes himself as a master-level bioenergy healer. And his capabilities include telepathic healing, utilizing the principles of quantum entanglement.
Now, that is a massive phrase. Telepathic healing utilizing quantum entanglement.
It's a lot to take in.
For many listeners, that might sound straight out of science fiction. But within Osman's framework, this is a highly specific mechanical process.
I'm going to push back a little here because like a lot of people hear telepathic healing and they instantly tune out. They think of parlor tricks or those late-night psychic hotlines.
Yeah, the neon signs in storefronts.
Right. So how does Osman, in the context of his work, even begin to frame that as a legitimate practice?
It comes down to his understanding of the human body, not just as a biological machine, but as an energetic field.
Okay.
In his framework, if everything at a subatomic level is interconnected energy, which, by the way, is the basic premise of quantum entanglement in physics, then consciousness is not confined to the physical skull.
So it's not locked in the brain.
Exactly. So a master-level practitioner, someone who has honed their focus for 50 years, can theoretically interact with another person's bioenergetic field non-locally.
Non-locally.
Yeah.
Meaning from a distance.
Yes. It's the idea that intention and energy can bypass physical distance to initiate a healing response in another organism.
And he isn't using this to cure common colds, right? This is where his resume gets incredibly intense. His specialty is critical care recovery and terminal illnesses.
He steps in specifically when traditional medical science has run out of options.
We are talking about stage 4 cancer. We are talking about ICU patients who have literally been taken off life support, where families are being told to come and say their final goodbyes.
The absolute end of the road.
That is the arena Osman is stepping into with this bioenergy healing. And he claims an astounding success rate of over 90% in these dire situations.
And he frames this success rate through a very specific statistical worldview, which I honestly find to be a highly analytical approach to esoteric healing.
How does he break the numbers down?
So Osman states that, broadly speaking, there are roughly 18,000 known illnesses that affect the human condition.
Okay, 18,000.
He credits modern medical science with the ability to effectively heal or manage about 4,000 of them.
Which leaves a lot left over.
Exactly. He then claims that his bioenergy healing can address the remaining 14 to 16,000.
Wow. Which mathematically aligns with that 90% overall success rate he is claiming.
It does.
But, and this is a massive caveat that we really need to emphasize heavily to you guys listening, Osman is incredibly clear about how his work relates to modern medicine.
He is not telling people to throw away their pills.
Not at all. He states explicitly that his natural-based therapies are a complement to, not a replacement for, medical treatment.
This is a crucial distinction. He is not anti-science or anti-doctor.
Right.
He says he offers his service to enhance whatever is lacking in the other medical fields. He is trying to fill the gap. The thousands of illnesses that evade the scalpel and the pharmaceutical.
To make sense of this, I like to use an analogy. It's like looking at the human body as a massive, infinitely complex software and hardware system.
Oh, okay, I like that.
Modern medical science is phenomenal at fixing the hardware. If a bone is broken, they set it. If an organ is failing, they transplant it. They're also great at patching certain lines of code with pharmaceuticals.
The symptoms.
Right, the symptoms. But Osman is claiming to access a deeply buried root-level operating system through bioenergy. He is going underneath the physical symptoms to the energetic source code.
And to get access to that root-level code, you need a completely different kind of diagnostic and administrative interface.
Exactly. You can't use an X-ray machine to debug software.
You really can't. And the interface he uses was forged through a level of rigorous, almost unfathomable dedication that most people cannot even conceptualize.
It's hard to wrap your head around.
He mentions practicing yoga and meditation extensively, studying deeply from various schools of thought, incorporating wisdom from the Far East, the Middle East, and the West.
He studied everything.
He has. And he mentions a desire to bring a truly scientific approach to these ancient practices. But the sheer volume of his practice is what's staggering. At certain stages of his life, his intensive practice extended up to 18 hours a day.
18 hours a day. I want everyone listening to just let that sink in for a second.
It's almost mathematically impossible to imagine.
Right. If you are practicing intense esoteric meditation and breath work for 18 hours a day, that leaves you exactly 6 hours for sleeping, eating, and basic survival.
It is the regimen of an Olympic-level athlete, but for the nervous system.
Yeah.
And even now, after 50 years, he notes that he is currently practicing a minimum of 8 to 10 hours a day, simply as he puts it, sharpening the sword.
Wow. Just maintenance.
This relentless daily calibration of his own nervous system and energy field is his explanation for why he possesses these uncommon abilities. It is why he can step into an ICU and perform telepathic healing.
Right. And it is also why his specific energy healing services, which are his only paid services, are at a premium level and at a premium price.
That makes sense.
But I think it is important to clarify something for the listener here. A lot of people hear premium energy healer, and they immediately think of a guru trying to, empty their wallet.
Oh, yeah. The wellness scam trope.
Right, someone withholding the secret unless you pay up. But Osman's entire mission seems to be the exact opposite.
Yes, the democratization of his foundational knowledge is clearly his primary driver. The paid services like the one-on-one premium energy healing or his Patreon channel where he does live daily video lessons and consultations, those are completely separate from the core transmission of knowledge.
He is adamant about not withholding information. He has students in over 100 countries.
100 countries.
Yeah, and he constantly directs people to his website, yogawellness786.com, where they can access his foundational teachings and a free 5-minute yoga and meditation program.
Just giving it away.
He posts extensive, detailed guidance entirely for free on his YouTube channel. He even puts these teachings out as podcasts on Apple Podcasts and Spotify under the name The Blind Muslim Yogi, so people can just listen and learn while they commute. He genuinely wants people to have this information.
Because his ultimate mission is to encourage as many people as possible to adopt what he calls a scientific approach, a result-based and simplified methodology to these ancient sciences.
He wants results, not just blind faith.
Exactly. He has spent a lifetime tirelessly trying to simplify incredibly complex ancient protocols so that everyday people can achieve tangible results as easily as possible. He genuinely hopes to revive a lost science to help society improve their health, their peace of mind, their relationships, and even their finances.
So, we have clearly established who this man is. A deeply dedicated practitioner, 50 years deep, functioning at the absolute edge of human biological and energetic potential, offering his foundational wisdom for free.
He's the real deal.
Now, having established this incredibly unique and credible lens, we have to look at the massive realization that prompted him to speak out in this specific video. We need to talk about the root of the controversy.
The great debate, red versus yellow.
Right. We are talking about the Muladhara, the root chakra, the very first foundational building block of the entire human energetic system.
Let's ground this for a second. For anyone who isn't familiar with esoteric anatomy, the chakra system is essentially a map of subtle energy centers aligned along the spine.
Starting from the base and going up to the crown of the head.
Right, and Osman explains that he started studying this system theoretically when he was just a child, around 10 years old. He read the books.
And the great discrepancy that he keeps coming across, the thing that bothers him so deeply, is the color assigned to that very first chakra at the base of the spine.
Because mainstream teachings, yoga studios around the world, popular literature, and the vast majority of translated Upanishadic texts state emphatically that the root chakra is red.
Red. Got it.
It is almost universally accepted dogma in the modern spiritual community.
But Osman Through his direct visual experience, which we are going to detail the exact mechanics of, shortly adamantly, forcefully states that it is yellow.
Yellow.
He says in the transcript, and I quote, "I say it's yellow, right, because that's what I see and I've got practical experience."
This is where we have to ask, why does this matter?
Right. To a casual observer, this might sound like an argument over interior design. Who cares if the invisible energy wheel is red or yellow?
Exactly. Is it just aesthetics?
Does it actually change anything?
It changes everything because it is not about aesthetics. It is about the authenticity and the historical degradation of inherited knowledge.
Oh, wow. Okay, explain that.
Think about the implications. The root chakra is the absolute foundation of the system. If the very first building block of the entire spiritual anatomy map is being mistaught by the majority of institutions, what else has been corrupted?
Oh, man. If page 1 of the manual is wrong, you can't trust page 2 through 100. That is a terrifying thought for anyone dedicating their life to this practice.
It is deeply unsettling. Osman points out that while the vast majority say red, there is a tiny minority of authentic paramparas, which are unbroken, verified chains of disciplic succession, where a master teaches a student directly for generations that actually agree with his experience.
So some people do agree it's yellow.
Yes, they confirm it is yellow. And this leads us directly into the concept of interpolation.
Let's unpack interpolation, because this is fascinating. We're talking about texts that have been copied by hand, translated across different ancient and modern languages, and passed down over thousands of years.
Precisely. Human error, deliberate alteration by competing schools of thought, or simply the catastrophic loss of original context can completely change the meaning of a text over a millennium.
I think the best way to understand this is to imagine a millennia-long game of telephone.
Well, that's a perfect analogy.
Right. Imagine a profound truth, experienced and whispered by a sage in a Himalayan cave 3,000 years ago. He experiences the energy, he sees the yellow, and he tells his disciple.
The original source.
Yeah. That disciple teaches it verbally for 40 years, then someone finally writes it down on a leaf manuscript. 100 years later, a war happens. The manuscript is moved to a different region.
Things get lost.
200 years after that, it is translated into a new dialect by a monk who has never actually meditated. He's just a scholar. Maybe he spills ink. Maybe the word for yellow gold is similar to the word for red fire in that dialect.
And suddenly the text says red.
Exactly. And by the time that whisper reaches a modern air-conditioned yoga studio in London or a YouTube tutorial in 2026, the message is completely morphed.
The original truth is buried under layers of historical accidents.
Yes, and Osman is essentially standing up and saying, stop listening to the whisper from 3,000 years ago. The line is corrupted. Just open your own eyes, do the work, and look at the color yourself.
This reliance on written texts over direct visceral experience is a major point of contention for Osman. He is deeply frustrated by how many people are selling this corrupted map as if it were the actual territory.
He gets pretty fired up about it.
He uses very strong language here. He warns against what he terms scam gurus.
Right. He actually apologizes in the video for using the word scam, but he absolutely stands by the sentiment behind it.
Because it's a serious accusation.
It is. He talks about these modern teachers who initiate students who charge significant amounts of money for extensive classes, subscription models, and weekend retreats. They claim to be elevated masters, yet they lack the fundamental direct personal experience to even know the correct color of the very first energy center they are teaching about.
They are simply parroting a corrupted textbook. They are scholars of the map, but they have never actually walked the terrain.
He urges his listeners to become what he calls a woke community. And he doesn't mean that in the modern political sense. He means a community that is deeply aware, critically thinking, and awake to their own direct experience.
Don't just take their word for it.
Exactly. If a guru is teaching you that the foundation is red when the objective energetic reality is yellow, they are blind leading the blind.
Which naturally brings up the most obvious and urgent question for anyone listening to this.
How do we see it?
Right. If direct experience is the absolute only way to bypass these corrupted texts and these fraudulent gurus, how do we get that experience?
Exactly. I'm listening to this and thinking, okay, Osman, I believe you. But how did you see it?
He didn't just wake up one day with magical vision?
No. He mentions that he studied this since he was 10, but he was blind to the actual reality of it until he was 32 years old.
22 years of practice before he saw it.
So what changed at 32? How did he break through? And that takes us right into the mechanics of spiritual sight and his specific result-based methodology.
This is where Osman delivers the practical, scientific methodology he's been trying to simplify for decades. He doesn't just wave his hands and say, "Oh, I saw it magically because I'm special."
He gives the recipe.
He provides the exact protocol. He demystifies the entire process.
He breaks it down step by step. So he says the first time these visual realities opened for him, he was 32. He learned to see the colors of the chakras with his naked eye, but through the medium of his spiritual eye.
Okay, what does that mean practically?
The method he describes to achieve this is an incredibly specific form of open-eye meditation.
Which is quite rare. Usually you close your eyes to meditate.
Right. But this is a profound, grueling exercise in absolute visual and mental fixation. He instructs the practitioner to find a single point to look at.
Like what?
It could be a red dot on a wall, a black dot on a piece of paper, a candle flame, a vase, or an image. The only requirement is that the object must be big enough that it doesn't completely disappear from your vision, as your eyes naturally play tricks on you during prolonged staring.
Right, optical fatigue is a real thing. Your brain tries to edit out static information.
Exactly. But he says you must stare at this object without moving your eyes to the left or the right, not even a millimeter.
That sounds incredibly difficult.
You just keep your gaze entirely fixed. You can blink when necessary. He isn't asking you to dry your eyes out, but you absolutely cannot break the visual anchor.
Okay.
You breathe in gently through the nose. You stay deeply physically relaxed. And this is the crucial departure from most modern mindfulness. Your focus is not on your breath.
Oh, really?
Your focus is entirely 100% on that external object. You become completely one-pointed.
If we unpack the sensory experience and the physiological mechanics of what Osman is describing here, it is actually deeply logical.
How so?
When you refuse to move your eyes, you are essentially starving the brain of new visual data. The visual cortex relies on micromovements, called saccades, to constantly refresh the image of reality.
Like your eyes are constantly scanning without you knowing it.
Exactly. By locking the eyes onto a single point, the normal construction of visual reality begins to break down or shift. You are bypassing the analytical, chattering mind by completely occupying the visual processing center.
It is like creating a sensory deprivation tank, but using only your own willpower and a dot on the wall.
That's a great way to put it.
And Osman says that if you keep practicing this specific visual fixation, along with proper breath work, your chakras will begin to unblock automatically. It allows the internal energy, the kundalini, to awaken safely at what he calls a mind level.
And this is when the breakthrough happened for him.
Yes, and his description of that breakthrough is completely visceral.
It really is. It's not abstract at all.
He says it wasn't a subtle visualization in his imagination. He says he could put his hand out in front of him, and it was as if someone had physically turned on a giant yellow globe right there in the room.
Oh.
He describes being completely surrounded by and immersed in a yellow plasma.
The word plasma is so specific and striking. It implies a state of matter that is energetic, luminous, and fluid.
Like a glowing fog almost.
Right. And he relates this immersive experience to being in a flow state. He connects this yellow plasma to the second chakra, the place where you get a second wind in life, where poetry, creativity, and deep intuition just pour out of you effortlessly.
And here is the most vital piece of data he provides in the entire transcript regarding this visual phenomenon. This is the detail that gives his claim incredible analytical weight.
The sequence.
Yes. It is the sequence of the colors.
Because the chronological progression of the visual experience is the definitive proof of his argument.
Exactly. He didn't just sit down, see a yellow light, and immediately run out to tell everyone the texts were wrong. He kept practicing his open-eye meditation. And over weeks of relentless practice, the color in the room literally shifted.
So it didn't stay yellow.
No. The sequence went from that initial yellow plasma to a deeper golden or mustard color, and then finally it turned red.
This sequence completely upends the dogmatic teaching while simultaneously explaining why the texts are wrong.
Yes. Let's walk through that logic.
So the corrupted textbooks say the very first foundational chakra is red, but Osman saw yellow. As the bioenergy, the kundalini, rose up his spine through his continued practice, moving from the foundational muladhara up to the third chakra, the manipura in the solar plexus. That is when he finally saw the red plasma.
The colors in the textbook were inverted. Or, more likely, over thousands of years of that game of telephone we talked about, the description of the third stage of awakening got accidentally copy-pasted into the description of the first stage.
Yellow, then golden, then red.
He describes this progression so vividly. He says that while he was staring at static images or dots under this plasma light, they suddenly became lifelike. They became three-dimensional.
Like augmented reality.
Yeah, he says it felt like he was literally stepping into a different frequency of reality.
He altered his subjective perception through rigorous, sustained physiological practice, changing his reality from a normal, static room to a dynamic environment bathed in shifting energetic plasma.
It's incredible.
This is the result-based methodology he is talking about. Do the work, fixate the gaze, and watch the room change color.
And he has spent decades trying to refine this, to make these protocols faster and easier so that regular people can access this without needing a formal, expensive initiation from a guru. He just wants people to see the yellow plasma for themselves.
He wants to democratize the experience.
And I love this about Osman, he is also incredibly grounded and humble about his position in the modern world.
How do you mean?
Well, he admits freely that out there in the massive, noisy landscape of the internet, he might just be viewed as a nobody.
Sure, just a guy on YouTube.
Exactly. He knows that despite his 50 years of 18-hour-day practice, human psychology often requires external validation from a recognized authority before we believe something so paradigm-shifting.
It is a profound demonstration of self-awareness. He knows his personal experience, no matter how undeniable to him, is just a story to a skeptic.
Right. And that brings us to the external validation he provides and the fascinating discussion of the side effects of true spiritual mastery.
To ground his solitary experience in a broader, verifiable context, Osman points to a highly respected, globally recognized figure in the spiritual community who publicly confirmed exactly what he saw.
Oh, this part is amazing.
He references a specific video recorded during the spring of 2023 on the Blossom Foundation YouTube channel.
Okay, and who is in this video?
A teacher named Shrim, who is very widely known and respected as Shriem. He is answering advanced questions from students about Kriya Yoga. Shriem is considered a foremost authority on Vedic literature and esoteric practice.
And in this video, completely unprompted by Osman, Shriem states unequivocally to his students that the first chakra is yellow and the third is red.
And what's amazing is that his students push back.
They actually argue with him.
Yes. They say, but wait, we were always told by the text that it's red. And Shriem firmly corrects them. He cites a highly specific, obscure text regarding the Naga Kundalini to back up the visual reality that it is, in fact, yellow.
You can imagine the immense sense of vindication Osman must have felt hearing that. Here's a globally recognized master operating completely independently, confirming the exact sequence, yellow at the base, red at the third, that Osman discovered alone in his room at age 32.
It's a huge moment of validation.
But Osman doesn't just drop Shriem's name and move on. He shares a totally wild anecdote to establish exactly how elevated and authentic Shriem really is.
Yeah.
And this event happened on a massive mainstream podcast.
Right. He references the Ranveer Show, which is also known as the Beer Biceps podcast, hosted by Ranveer Alabadia.
Osman actually jokes about the name in his video, saying, "What an amazing name. You'll never forget that, Beer Biceps." It's a great observation.
It is catchy.
Now, for context, Ranveer has an empire. At the time Osman mentions this, Ranveer has over 8.5 million subscribers. This is not a small, fringe spiritual channel. It's a massive, high-tech, mainstream platform. And Shriem appeared on it for a series of interviews.
Which is a fascinating collision of worlds. You have an ancient, deeply traditional master sitting in a modern digital broadcast studio talking to millions of young modern listeners.
And during one of these interviews, the most unbelievable thing happens. Osman recounts it with such reverence. Right there, on camera, in front of Ranveer, Shriem performs a literal miracle. The yogic term is a siddhi.
A siddhi, okay.
He materializes a round Rudraksha bead, which is a sacred seed used for prayer, right in the palm of his hand, out of absolutely nowhere.
The spontaneous generation of physical matter?
Yes. And he hands this manifested seed to Ranveer. And then Shriem casually asks him, "Do you want to wear it around your neck? I'll even create a hole in it for you, please."
Oh.
Ranveer, who is a professional broadcaster used to talking for hours, is completely speechless. He is frozen. He can't even formulate an answer. Shriem has to ask him 2 or 3 times. Finally, Ranveer stammers out, yeah, okay, make the hole.
And the methodology of creating that hole is what elevates this from a sleight of hand magic trick to a demonstration of absolute energetic mastery.
How does he do it?
Shriem doesn't pull out a drill or a needle. He simply takes the solid bead, blows his breath into it, and a perfect, clean hole appears right through the middle. Just breath and intention-altering physical matter.
Osman points out a crucial logical deduction here. Renzier isn't faking this to get clicks. He doesn't need to. He already has an 8 million subscriber empire. He has everything to lose by faking a miracle.
Right, his reputation would be ruined.
And Sri M is a verifiable, highly authentic figure who doesn't need parlor tricks. This event genuinely happened, and it was caught on a massive platform.
Now, introducing the concept of siddhis, these miraculous powers, requires a very careful philosophical framing.
Let's do that because it can sound crazy.
In yogic science, a siddhi is a superhuman capability attained through rigorous, extreme spiritual practice. But both Osman and Sri M are incredibly quick, almost anxious, to emphasize a vital philosophy regarding these powers.
Right, when Ranveer is sitting there in shock, Sri M immediately downplays it. He tells Ranveer this is nothing. These miracles are nothing. Anyone can do it.
They both stress emphatically that siddhis are not the goal of spiritual practice. They are merely side effects of energetic advancement.
Like a byproduct.
Exactly. They are the exhaust fumes of a highly functioning spiritual engine. If you focus on the miracle, if you practice just to get the power to materialize a bead or read a mind, you completely lose the actual path.
It's a profound safeguard against ego. You see this warning across various traditions. The idea is that these phenomena are just mechanical laws of nature operating on a subtler quantum level that we don't fully understand yet.
They aren't divine magic. They're just advanced physics.
And if you use these side effects to show off or to gain followers, your actual spiritual progress hits a brick wall immediately.
Osman is incredibly aligned with this. He possesses immense verifiable power. I mean, he is utilizing quantum entanglement to telepathically heal terminal ICU patients. That is a massive siddhi.
Huge.
But his public mission, his YouTube channel, his core message isn't about teaching you to do magic tricks. It is to get you to sit quietly, stare at a dot, and do the tedious, unglamorous work until you see the yellow plasma of your own foundational consciousness.
Which perfectly transitions us away from the miraculous and into the highly practical. Because moving past the materialized beads and telepathy, Osman desperately wants to discuss the physiological benefits of his advanced methodologies.
Right, the stuff that affects our daily health.
Specifically, the practice of pranayama, or advanced breath work.
And here, Osman makes claims regarding physical and psychological health that are so bold, so absolute, that they force you to sit up and scrutinize them.
I'll lay out exactly what he claims. He states that for someone who is advanced in pranayama practices, someone operating at a high level of mastery, 90% of physical illnesses will simply not affect them.
That alone is a staggering claim regarding the resilience of the human immune system and cellular health. He is essentially claiming to have engineered a bioenergetic shield against the vast majority of physical degradation.
But then he goes even further, and this is where I have to play devil's advocate, because it sounds almost reckless to a modern ear.
What does he say?
He claims a 100% protection rate against psychological illnesses. He specifically mentions dementia, schizophrenia, and all types of psychosis. He says these conditions will generally not affect someone who is advanced in these breathwork practices. 100% protection.
It is an absolute claim, which is rare in any scientific or spiritual discipline. However, he does provide one highly specific, logical exception to this rule.
The physical deformation exception.
Yes. He notes that if a person is born with an inherent physical brain deformation, a literal physical defect of the brain's hardware, that is the only exception, because that is a physical deformation and anatomical reality, not an acquired psychological degradation.
Okay.
But for acquired systemic psychological breakdown, he claims absolute protection.
Okay, so I need you to help me make sense of this. How do we logically unpack this from a holistic biological viewpoint? How could extreme daily regulation of the breath and the nervous system theoretically act as a 100% preventative measure against something as devastating as dementia or stress-induced psychosis?
We have to look at the autonomic nervous system and the role of chronic inflammation. Every single time you consciously control your breath, you are sending a direct mechanical signal to your brainstem. If you were a practitioner like Osman, doing advanced pranayama for hours and hours a day, you are chronically, permanently keeping your nervous system out of the sympathetic fight-or-flight state. You are locking it into the parasympathetic rest, digest, and repair state.
And we know from modern biology that chronic stress Living your entire life in a low-grade fight-or-flight state is the root cause of systemic inflammation.
Exactly.
And neuroinflammation is increasingly being pointed to as the precursor to almost all cognitive decline, including dementia, as well as many physical diseases.
Precisely. In Osman's framework, psychological illnesses like acquired psychosis or dementia are often the result of the software of the mind being corrupted by a lifetime of unregulated stress, trauma, and energetic blockages. By mastering pranayama, you are constantly flushing the system, constantly repairing the code, and preventing that inflammatory corruption from ever taking root. You are maintaining the pristine integrity of the energetic hardware.
So it's not magic. It is just extreme, unrelenting biological maintenance. And this brings us back to the crucial pushback and clarification we need to offer the listener.
About the level of practice required.
Yes. When Osman casually throws out these numbers, 90% physical protection, 100% psychological protection, he is speaking from the perspective of an absolute master.
Yes. This isn't about taking 5 deep breaths before a stressful Zoom meeting and expecting to never get sick.
Right. This is about 50 years of unbreakable discipline. This is a man who practiced up to 18 hours a day. This is a complete foundational rewiring of the human organism.
It's a life's work.
It is.
Yeah.
Osman is on a mission to bring a scientific, replicable approach to these ancient sciences, focusing strictly on tangible results. He is offering this wisdom to improve human life in every single aspect: health, peace of mind, social life, relationships, and finances.
He is serving as a living bridge between the ancient, obscure Vedic sciences and the very edge of modern quantum and biological understanding. And he has spent his lifetime tirelessly trying to simplify these incredibly complex protocols so that ordinary people, people with jobs and families, can achieve real energetic results without having to abandon society and retreat to a cave in the Himalayas.
Which brings us to the end of our journey today. Let's take a moment to summarize what we've actually covered in this deep dive, because it has been a massive arc.
It really has.
We started with what sounded like a ridiculously small niche debate about whether a tiny, invisible energy center at the base of the spine is the color red or the color yellow.
And that single, seemingly trivial thread unraveled a massive discussion on the historical corruption of ancient texts, the profound danger of accepting blind dogma, and the absolute necessity of rigorous, direct personal experience.
We explored the literal physiological mechanics of spiritual sight through open-eye visual fixation. We unpacked the mind-bending reality of telepathic healing via quantum entanglement in critical care wards.
We discussed the awe-inspiring, caught-on-tape materialization of a bead by Sri M.
And we broke down the profound, preventative biological power of advanced breathwork.
And through it all, Osman, the blind Muslim yogi, has served as an incredibly grounded guide. He is demanding that we stop blindly accepting the maps we are handed and start doing the grueling, beautiful work to see the territory for ourselves.
Before we sign off, a quick and important reminder for you, the listener. Osman's core mission is to revive this lost scientific approach to ancient yoga and make it accessible. If you are intrigued by anything we discussed today, the tools are out there.
They are completely available.
You can explore his free 5-minute yoga and meditation program at his website, yogawellness786.com. You can check out his massive library of free, detailed video teachings on his YouTube channel.
There's a lot of material there.
You can also listen to his podcast on both Apple Podcasts and Spotify by simply searching for The Blind Muslim Yogi. And please remember to follow his channel there if you find it valuable. And if you are in need of his premium energy healing services or want to access his Patreon channel for live daily video lessons and one-on-one consultations, all of that contact information is readily available on his website as well.
The tools and the knowledge are all there, offered openly by someone who has walked this intense path for half a century. The only question left is whether you're willing to pick those tools up and use them.
I couldn't have said it better. We started this deep dive talking about the comfort of an X-ray machine. We talked about the comfort of a textbook that clearly simply tells you what is broken and what is whole, what is red and what is yellow.
But true healing, true realization of your own potential requires stepping out of that artificial comfort zone.
Exactly. It requires wading into the muddy, subjective waters of your own direct experience.
So, as you go about the rest of your day, I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. Think about your own life, your own career, or your own deeply held personal beliefs. What foundational truth have you accepted simply because a textbook, an institution, or a modern-day authority figure told you it was red? What might actually happen if you had the courage to stop reading the corrupted map, to sit in the silence, to open your own eyes, and discover for yourself that it's actually yellow?